Alright, this is Diablo 3, patch 2.2, on Torment 6. I'm going to show you a Jade Witch Doctor Poison build, and then I'll show you the gear after I run a Rift, and passives and all that other stuff. So let's see what it can do. Goblin already?
Do you see that enemy over there? Let us cleanse it from this land. More time.
Been laggy as hell on Diablo lately.
Needs more time.
Voodoo Man, good. I'm re-recording this because earlier I had it was the lag was just too bad. Figured I'd give it another shot, but it doesn't seem to have improved very much. I thought it might have been something on my end, but it wasn't. Boom goes the dynamite. And boom goes the dynamite. A lot of stuff you can just walk by. Another lag spike. Yeah, the latency 420. I think this may be even worse. Earlier the latency was in the green at least. Shouldn't have deleted my first video. But it's really not about the gameplay. I'll just use this one and show you what the build looks like. You can see even in this much lag, it's a pretty good build. Do like a range attack too. Stay back. Just cast taunts. Really good for certain elites that might have really bad passives or rip bosses. See if I can do it here.
The truth burns.
Let's see. 600 million crit in there. That was without the Convention of Elements buff down there, or it probably would have been 1.2 or 1.8 billion, somewhere around there.
Your evil undoes you.
Walk, 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 walk. Detonate.
The Rift Goblin has arrived.
Two elite packs and the Rift Guardian, and they're all toast. I mean, I did have a shrine, but even without the shrine, I probably could have done that pretty easily. I'll just go till I hit a doorway and then I'll go back to town. Show you how the build goes.
Perfect strike.
Oh shit. Goblin Heaven.
Need more time. Needs more time.
I think that's everything. Finally caught one of those on video. Should have switched my helmet out first though. Would have got quite a few more gems, but what are you gonna do? I didn't want to lose any of the goblins. Belt. There we go.
I am returning to town.
Alright. I was really hoping that that ceremonial dagger was Star Metal Kukri that I've been trying for about 600 hours to get and still haven't gotten one. So I'd only be hanging. I'll identify these. Probably Last Breath, Black Boots or whatever. It's probably the pet helmet. Quad wrap, yep. Vigilante belt. This is another possibility of a belt that you could use with this build. It's only built with cooldown reduction on it, so where this is based around a lot of cooldown reduction. It's a possibility, but I'll tell you why I don't use that one later. Yep, Mask of Jerem, pet damage, pretty shitty roll on it. Blackthorns and Last Breath. Alright, last video I forgot to show Paragon, so I'm going to do that first this time. Movement speed until you're 25%. If you had 10% on your boots or something, you'd only roll 15 onto this, and then the rest in intelligence. But since I don't have movement speed on any of my items, just 25% there, and then the rest in intelligence. Then I go cooldown reduction. I need critical hit damage personally, so I went there first, and then critical hit chance. But cooldown reduction is the most important. Then you want to go life and armor, and then resist all. Probably armor first, then life, then resist all. And then here, area damage, resource cost reduction, and life on hit. Those ones really more the order that you need. If you're having problems with mana, go with that, so on and so forth. Life on hit priority doesn't add too much. These are probably the two most important. Let's look at the gear now. So first thing you need for this poison build is a Wormwood, and the special on it is that it casts Locust Swarm, and you'll see that circle around me. Anything in that range gets Locust Swarm cast on it. So that saves you a spell slot, which allows you to put like Hex on here or something else. And then you need the Jade Harvester's build or set. So the 2-piece bonus of this is when Haunt lands on an enemy already affected with Haunt, it instantly deals 10 seconds worth of the Haunt damage. So if you haunt the enemy, boom, then the second one does boom, instant 10 seconds worth of the damage of the haunt. Really nice for single target damage, staying away from a Rift Guardian or whatever, or a really mean elite pack. The 4-piece bonus, Soul Harvest, gains the effect of every rune. So the most important one is Siphon, which I have selected, but you also get Swallow Your Soul, which gives you more mana and mana back for each one harvested. Languish gives you armor, which is really nice, and reduces the movement speed of the enemies. Soul to Waste, this is nice because if there's a big gap between enemies, you keep your 5 stacks, which improves, ups your damage. So you want to keep those stacks up. And then Vengeful Spirit is not that great because it does physical damage and it's only 630%, but you know, every little bit counts sometimes. And then the most important thing is the 6-piece bonus, which Soul Harvest consumes your damage over time effects on the enemies, instantly dealing the remaining damage. So when you have Haunt and Locust Swarm on the enemies, and then you Soul Harvest, it instantly deals the damage that was left on them. And which would normally only be like if you haunted them and the haunt lasts for 12 seconds. Then say they only had 8 seconds of the dot left and you harvested them, that's how much damage it would do. But because you're using Creeping Death, the dots last for 8 minutes. So they really couldn't give you 8 minutes worth of a dot when you soul harvest, or everything would get one shot. Even probably with just the Locust Swarm on them. So what they do is they capped it at 40 seconds worth of damage. So you get 40 seconds worth of the dot damage when you do soul harvest, when you have Creeping Death on, and that's what gets you the really big hits on this build. And I'll go more into how that some of the gems and stuff you can do to up that. But you need Jade Harvester's boots, preferably with int vit, resist all elements, and armor. Although you could swap the resist all elements for movement speed and not put as much in the movement speed on your Paragon points and get more intelligence there for more damage. But I went with a little more survivability. Then you want Jade Harvester's pants, int vit armor, and then 2 socket with intelligence gems in it. And then you want Jade Harvester's gloves, int crit hit damage, crit hit chance, and reduce all cooldown. So that's a really good gloves I got. The only thing could be better is if the rolls were perfect, or if it was ancient. So then after that you want the Jade Harvester's Joy shoulders. You need int vit cooldown reduction haunt damage. So I don't have the cooldown reduction on these, so they're not perfect, and they're not ancient also. Then you want Jade Harvester's chest, which is int vit haunt damage, and then 3 sockets with intelligence. And the reason you have to use the Royal Ring of Grandeur with the set, because you can't wear the Jade Harvester's Wisdom hat. So you have to use a Quetzalcoatl, which makes Locust Swarm and Haunt deal their damage in half the normal duration. So
One time, I miscast the charm spell.
Shut up,
and
woman.
Sister Lysa was fawning over me for a fortnight.
So what it does is
mortifying.
essentially doubles the damage of Haunt and Locust Swarm. So I don't know if, correct me if I'm wrong, but so when you do 40 seconds worth of the dot damage with Soul Harvest, it's actually because of this hat doing like 80 seconds worth. It's doubling the damage of it. So that makes you do even bigger crits. So that's why this hat is better than the Jade Harvester set one, and it's really not something you can lose, or you're going to lose a lot of damage. Then you want pretty much any necklace can go in here, but a Hellfire one would be nice, or Countess Julia's cameo, or any of the ones that reduce whatever type of damage you hate the most. And then you would want poison damage, int, and crit hit chance, or crit hit damage, whichever you need more of. If you had a nice Hellfire amulet, it would most likely have the Gruesome Feast passive, where your intelligence, for every health orb you get, your intelligence goes up, and it stacks up to 5 times. So you can have about 50% more damage, which is nice. But I don't have a nice Hellfire amulet. I've made like 50, and only one has been good, and it was for my pet Witch Doctor. So then you go to Strong Arm Bracers. This is probably swappable too for whatever you're more comfortable with, but the Piranhado triggers this, and you would want poison damage on it, int vit, crit hit chance, and they'll take 30% more damage after they land from the piranhas. And then you're going to want Convention of Elements, which I got a pretty good roll on this one. You want int critical hit chance and critical hit damage, and then it gives you 175% more damage to a type of element when it cycles around to the elements you can use. So that would be cold, fire, physical, and poison for the Witch Doctor. And then you'll see it down here, and boom, right there it went to poison. So during that 4 seconds you have 175% more poison damage, which stacked with all your other crap can make your crits go into the billions. upwards of 1.8 or 2.9 or even maybe up to 4 billion at sometimes if you got enough buffs on. This could have rolled 200%, but for everything else on it, it's pretty damn nice. Then you want Gem of Efficacious Toxin in it. Any other gem could go until you get the Gem of Efficacious Toxin to level 25, because you need that secondary bonus for it to be really worthwhile. So all enemies take poison that you poison take 10% increased damage from all sources. So that also buffs your group. Any enemies you poison take 10% more damage from everybody in your group. And then also the enemies that are poisoned take 3,550% weapon damage over 10 seconds. And that is also consumed by your soul harvest. So that adds a little more damage, but not much compared to Locust Swarm and Haunt, because it only does the 10 seconds worth, or even if there was only 5 seconds left on the dot, then you would only do 5 seconds worth of the dot when you consume, because it's not affected by creeping death, so it can't get the 40 seconds worth of damage. If it could do that, it would really be OP. So then you need a Royal Ring of Grandeur. No way around it, have to have one on, because you need the 6-piece bonus. Ideally it would have intelligence, critical hit chance, or critical hit damage, or both. Or you could also get some cooldown reduction in there too, and one of the two, critical hit chance or critical hit damage. Unfortunately mine has none of those except for the intelligence on it, so it's really shitty. I've done like 50 runs today, plus more other days, and I can't get one to even drop with critical hit chance. It's just being really shitty. But then you can put a Bane of the Powerful in here. 20% more increased damage for a minute after killing an elite pack. And then the 25 set bonus, or level bonus, increases your damage against elites by 15%. You can also swap this gem if you want for Gogok of Swiftness. That one, once it's rank 25, otherwise it's useless at rank 25. It gives you 1% cooldown reduction per stack of swiftness, and it stacks pretty high, so you can get your cooldowns up faster, which is almost everything you have except for Haunt on here has a cooldown. So cooldown reduction, very useful. Lets you horrify them more, lets you jump more, lets you stun them or turn them into pigs more, everything. So that's what I'm considering. Once I get it leveled up, I might swap that out and see how it does. And then for the necklace, you want Bane of the Trapped in there, which enemies under the effects of control impairing effects take 25% more damage. And then you have an aura around you for 15 yards that reduces their movement speed by 30%. So since you're always usually up in the mix detonating, you'll always have that effect on. And on top of that, piranhas should proc it too, because they're impaired. So you're going to have the effect, period. So that's a nice constant 25% damage or more if you can level the gem more. So let's go into skills. So there's a Haunt Poison Spirit, which enemies that you're haunted take 20% more damage. So that's really nice. And then it's a poison build, so it's a poison spirit, so that's even more nice. Then there's Piranhas, Piranado. This lets you suck everybody up, and you can more easily get everybody within your soul harvest. It also triggers your strong arm bracers and adds extra damage, and the 15% damage that it procs will last forever, or 8 minutes, because of creeping death. So you always keep that once you put it down. I have to learn myself when I'm doing this build that, because it doesn't really do much damage, especially like on a Rift Guardian or single targets. If you keep casting this on them, you're gonna burn your mana up really fast, and you're gonna end up running out. Cast it once on the Rift Guardian, and then just start spamming haunts and run in every once in a while and soul harvest them. Don't keep casting this. The 15% damage bonus will keep on there because of creeping death, and just keep spamming your haunts. I'm really bad about that. I've got to break myself of that habit of casting it on single targets, but I'll learn eventually. Played too many other builds like the pet build and stuff where I don't need to worry about mana, so I just spam that too in my rotation. Spirit Walk Jaunt. There's not really any other good runes for this. I mean, if you're having really bad mana problems, you get some of your mana back with this. Other than that, I don't see any that might be worthwhile. But I mean, 3 seconds of immunity as opposed to 2 could be life or death. The only thing, they changed this with the last patch, and it's kind of shitty. So what it does is the cooldown for this doesn't start till the end, till when Jaunt ends now. Before it used to be like when you were in Jaunt, you could be killing stuff and the cooldown was getting reduced while you were in it, and with enough cooldown reduction and enough kills, it would be up already before you were even out of Jaunt. So you could stay in Jaunt permanently almost and not get hurt at all. But now you'll see it'll gray out. And the timer starts right when you pop out of it. So right here, I'm vulnerable. I can die. And you take a lot of damage with this build. So ideally, what you would do is, like, say you're doing this and the enemies haven't died yet, boom, right there, hit Horrify. That'll stun them for 3 seconds. And then maybe do a Hex in there too. And that'll turn them into pigs. But that's where Horrify comes in. Frightening aspect. You get extra armor, so if they do break out, you can take a few more hits. You can also possibly go with Stalker if you want some more movement speed, if you're just doing like Torment 6 and you don't really need the armor. So that'll help you zip around the map a little faster. Hex, Jinx. You summon a Fetish Shaman for 12 seconds and it hexes the enemies into pigs, and while they're pigs they take 20% extra damage. So if you time it right and you do this, you wait for them to turn into pigs and then you Soul Harvest, you'll get an extra 20% damage, which is really nice. Another possibility for this slot would be Mass Confusion with Paranoia. That's an extra 20% also, but it lasts for 12 seconds and they don't have to be pigs or anything. It's just anybody in the area of it takes a 20%. The problem is it's a 60-second cooldown. So I don't know, I prefer the one that turns them into pigs. Then you can they can't do anything while they're doing that. Then Soul Harvest I showed you earlier, it just it also gives you a buff for more intelligence when it's 3% more intelligence for every enemy affected, up to 5 stacks. So that's really good. And the effect lasts for 60 seconds because you have all the runes. So that's when you have the 5 stacks, yeah, it's a decent amount of damage. Then for the passives, you're going to want Graven Justice. Every enemy you kill gives you 1% life and mana, and then reduces your cooldown by 1 second. And that's with any enemy within 20 yards that dies. It is affected by your gold pickup radius, so ideally I would have some gold pickup on my gear, but none of it rolled with that. So I have actually 0, so if I want to pick up gold I have to walk on it. That's how small my range is. Some gold pickup radius could possibly help you a little bit if you can get it on some of your secondary rolls. Then there's Spirit Vessel. This is really nice for this build because it affects Horrify, Spirit Walk, and Soul Harvest, and you use all 3 of those, and it reduces them by 2 seconds. So that's really helpful. And then it's an ass saver. Once every 90 seconds, if you die, it'll save your ass and you can walk away. Then there's Pierce the Veil. Like I said, most of the time you won't use it, run out of mana with this build when you're fighting a lot of enemies, but when you fight a single target like a Rift Guardian, if you're not careful and you're using Piranado and stuff too much and you're spamming the haunts, of course, then and Soul Harvesting a single enemy doesn't give you much mana back. So that's when this can kind of hurt you, but it's still worth it for the most part. 99% of the time you just get 20% extra damage and the mana doesn't matter. And then there's Creeping Death, which is a must-have. It just makes your dots last for 8 minutes, so it's really useful. And like I said earlier, if you can get a Hellfire Necklace with Gruesome Feast on it, you can up your damage a little more even. Oh yeah, I never got around to the belt. Your belt of Transcendence. Not a must, but really helpful. Every time you hit with a mana spender, you summon a fetish sycophant. So when you cast a haunt or you do a Piranado, you get a fetish, and you can have up to 15 of them, and they last 60 seconds apiece. It works exactly like the fetish sycophant's passive. So it's like if you had a Hellfire necklace, it's like having 5 passives instead of 3, or 6 passives instead of 4. But yeah, this is really nice. Another option you could use is a Haunting Girdle. So you release an extra spirit when you do haunt. That helps you haunt everything on the battlefield a lot faster. And then I think also when you hit like a single target, it doubles up the damage, because you're casting 2 at one target. So you can get a double hit. But for the damage that the fetish sycophants do, hitting for 8 to 12 million apiece for 15 of them, I mean, the extra damage from this isn't really worth it. And on top of that, if you wear this and you fight a Rift Guardian, you have to tank it and you will get hurt. If you wear this, they tank it and you stand at a distance and just toss haunts out like a sniper. So it's a pain in the ass to get, but if you can get one, get it. And on top of that, I just learned today that I just noticed that Wormwood, the Locust Swarm off of it, actually procs the fetishes too, even though you're not actually costing you any mana, but it considers it a mana spender. So it's really easy to end up with max fetishes pretty quickly, even if you're not trying with haunts. Oh, I'll show you one more thing. Oh, then I'll show you how that works. My crit hit chance, crit hit damage, I mean, I would wish the crit hit damage was more around the 400 range, 500 range, and same with the crit hit chance around the 50% range. But like I said, my Royal Ring is screwed, so until I get that, it's not as good. Cooldown reduction, you'd probably want this more around 35 or 40%. Mine's not very good. Poison damage, that's pretty good, 56%. Around 50% is good. Haunt damage also, you ran around 30%. And then movement speed, so 25%. And
The prophet did not mention what the
yeah.
border you can
Oh,
be.
bonus globe radius 2. I don't know where the hell that came from. I didn't have that before. But let me show you. I'll just kind of show you what this can do with just the Wormwood and walking around, kind of. See, 2 fetishes, 5 fetishes. Just gonna harvest, just get more damage. 13 fetishes. I didn't even do anything besides harvest them.
The spirits aid me.
If you really want, you can mostly just walk around the level and your dots will just jump to everybody and go fast. And your fetishes. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Another lag spike. Have to juke my way through everything. Walk, walk, walk. Healing Well, I'm going for an achievement to click like 1,000 of those. I'm at like 300 or some bullshit.
I strike at your heart.
But yeah, I hope you liked the video, and don't subscribe because I probably won't make too many more of these, but it's kind of fun for now. Ow. See you next time.